Susanna, welcome. Thank you for joining me here on the podcast, talking about hair, faith, and confidence.
Yeah,
Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
sure. So I grew up in the Chicago area. I've been here my whole life, and I feel like my entire career and life story is embedded in all things Chicago. And I'm most known for a 20-year career in the Chicago media. I wrote a column in the Sun-Times in my 20s called Susanna's Night Out. I had some media jobs, running magazines, starting magazines, and ultimately I was the editor-in-chief and publisher of Chicago Magazine, which means doing everything, from the business side to the creative side. And then about 5 years ago, I made the transition into nonprofit.
Okay.
First working at Paws Chicago, helping cats and dogs, and then now I'm at the Boys and Girls Clubs of Chicago.
Amazing. What is that like? What is your day to day like? What do you do at the Boys and Girls Club?
Well, I mean, it's kind of a lot of things. I'm not necessarily responsible for the day-to-day programming. Our program staff does that when the kids come in and they get enrichment activities. And I should probably step back and explain what the Boys and Girls Clubs does.
Yes, please.
A lot of people don't know, and I really didn't know until I became involved with the organization, like in detail, what they do, what we do. So we have 8 physical buildings in Chicago, and they're enormous. They're the size of schools, and those are our clubs.
Okay.
And they are in communities that don't have a lot of opportunities for kids to go to something after school. They're in communities that have a lot of disinvestment in Chicago. And so kids from several surrounding schools will go there after school, and they get dinner, homework help, sports, leadership, arts, all kinds of enrichment activities from staff. And they start coming when they're 5 or 6 years old, and they go until they finish high school. So it's a really special thing in the nonprofit space, because often you will help kids, you know, in a day or in a season or in a particular way. And we are their year-round second family for their entire childhood and adolescence. And so as a result of that, this becomes a very special second place. And our staff feel like family members. And there's just this long-term cumulative impact made on kids.
Yeah. So special. And I'm sure people can go on your website and make a donation, right, to the Boys and Girls Club. You're always fundraising, right?
Yeah, that's a huge thing. That's one of the primary things I'm responsible for is the budget. So figuring out what money comes in, and then when the money comes in, what do we invest it in?
Yeah.
So it might be a renovation of a building. That's something that I'm working on right now, because some of our buildings are over 100 years old.
Wow.
One of them's over 100 years old, I should clarify. Many of them, though, 50, 60, 80, 90 years old. And so because of that, there's a constant need to update the space and ensure that it's modernized. And so, when we bring in money, we have to decide, where does the investment go first? Maybe we want to hire a new staff person to offer a new program, a new arts program. We want to have a music program. All of those things cost money. So it's my job to determine, how does the money come in, and what is the best place to spend it?
Yeah, that's amazing. Do you guys, like the alumni, kids that have grown up in Chicago and that have gone to the Boys and Girls Club for many, many years, like, do you hear from them? Do they come back? Are they like...
They absolutely do.
Yeah, I'd love
And
to hear
sometimes they become staff members.
Really?
We have staff members that started as kids, and they love it so much. They graduate from college and then they come back. And it's a really comforting place, I think, for people who have gone there as kids.
Yeah.
And there's such neighborhood continuity. Like there's such... I don't know, there's so much heart. Like that's the thing. I joined the organization in June of last year. So I've been there less than a year. And something that struck me immediately was that there were people who had worked there for decades.
Yeah.
And what that means to the families and how embedded they are in each of these communities.
Yeah.
And the trust and safety that families feel bringing their kids to art clubs. Like it's just a really beautiful, rare, unexpected thing. And I think that people have heard the name Boys and Girls Clubs because the organization has been around in Chicago. Next year, it'll be 125 years.
Wow.
So long, long time.
Yeah. And the logo, right, with the hands?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. It's part of a national organization, the Boys and Girls Clubs of America. And there are chapters in pretty much every city in the country.
Okay, yeah.
And so there's this kind of halo of everybody's heard of it, but I think unless you're a kid who goes to a club or a parent who
Yeah.
uses us as support for your children's lives, you may not know exactly what we do.
Yeah.
Some of that is by design because anywhere that you have kids, safety is a primary concern. So often, if you don't have a kid in the program, you as an adult wouldn't ever step foot inside our building because it's not safe for us to let everybody in the door. So those are some of the reasons that people don't necessarily know what we do unless they're a part of what we do.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Amazing. So, if we sort of moved on, thank you. That's a Boys and Girls Club. Yes. If you want to donate, please go and they
Please
need
do.
money. Yeah.
Always.
And Susanna will know what to do with it. So,
I'm, working on it. Yes, for sure.
hair, right? Hair, you came in, we met, we had never met in person before. So
No.
thank you for coming and being here.
Well, we have a close mutual friend who
yes.
is the loveliest woman ever. And so she vouched for you and introduced us. And so, of course, I was like, I would love to do this.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. Yes, Maggie, thank you. And Mike, thank you. So you came in with all this curly hair.
Yeah.
There's a lot of hair.
A lot of Greek hair.
Greek, beautiful hair. And we blew it out. We flat ironed it a bit, so we straightened it out. Tell me about your hair. Like, what was it like growing up as a kid, a young girl, like having lots of curly hair or hair that you didn't know how to style? Like, what was that like, having that, beautiful, luscious curls,
Yeah.
thick hair?
I think that growing up I was a teenager in the 80s and big hair was a big thing in the 80s.
Yeah.
But also I feel like when you're consuming what's out in the world, you're paying attention to a lot of women and a lot of, just a lot of like long and glossy hair. And that was never what I had. And so as I grew older and I discovered the flat iron, that was pretty life-changing. Although when I was in college, I did use an actual iron to straighten my hair,
goodness. Wow.
tried it on an ironing board, like, that's before flat irons were ubiquitous.
Yeah.
So I would say that, I don't know. I guess having this curly hair, it's been like a love-hate relationship. There are times when I let it go curly. And there was actually a 2-year stretch a few years ago where I was exclusively curly. I didn't straighten it for 2 years because I was like, I've really damaged my hair. Let me just let it do what it wants to do. And I kind of liked it. But then, 2 years in, one day I straightened my hair and I was like, yes, I miss this. So it is a little bit of a battle, I think, between when I feel most confident, most professional, versus what my hair wants to do naturally.
Yeah. You have a sister. You said you have a sister.
Yep.
She also has curly hair, I take it? Or
Yeah, not as like mine is, on a scale of 1 to, frizzy. It's very, but she does have curly hair and she's kind of in the middle. She's like natural-ish. Yeah.
Nice. Your hair today, like you have some highlights. We talked about your color a little bit.
Yeah.
Very pretty. We were talking a little bit about maybe going a little bit darker.
I'm open to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know you have a great colorist, but maybe we can have you at the salon, at George's salon. You can come and get your hair. We can darken up a little bit, maybe.
Yeah, I'm really open to it. It's funny, as I mentioned, I used to work in magazines, and I've had moments where, like, I was at a shoot we were doing in LA of the actress Kate Walsh.
Okay.
If you remember, for a magazine that I worked at years ago.
Red?
Yeah. And we had a famous hairstylist there doing her hair who was her hairstylist. And he's the one who, at the time, I don't know if he still does, he was doing Blake Lively's hair, like a lot of people. And he said to me, you know what? I think your hair needs to be this short. Sit in the chair. And he just went and just cut all my hair off. And I loved it.
You did?
For like a month. Then as it grew out, I really hated it. But I am open to experimentation. I just feel like when I've done these dramatic changes, there was one time years ago when I went like jet black and short again, and with like heavy bangs. It was like a very severe cut. And again, like for a few days, I thought it was really cool, and then I always inevitably end up somewhere in this zone.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
pretty. I mean, you look great. So, thank you for sharing that. Um, faith. We talked a little bit about faith.
Hmm.
You were Orthodox? Is
Yeah,
that?
Greek
Yeah.
Orthodox. Yep. Which is not unlike what you are, Catholic.
Catholic.
We have a lot of things in common. And 1,000 years ago, there was a schism, and our churches broke into their own, just their own religious paths. But we share a lot of
Yeah.
similarities. My husband's
Yeah.
Catholic,
Okay.
so we talk about it a lot. Yeah.
So how has your faith, or being Orthodox, how has that affected your life, in a positive way? Like, how do you use your faith today, as you move forward in your relationship with work and with your husband and just in life in general?
Yeah, I'd say that, I grew up in a very faithful family. And in the Greek culture, religion is just a huge part of it, like in many cultures. And so I grew up going to church every Sunday, being very involved in the church. And when I got to college, I think I was like, you know, as a lot of kids do, they kind of reject what their parents forced on them. And so I started going to church less and less, and then only for the main religious holidays. And I actually think that didn't help my life. I think you can get really distracted by everything in the world. And so there was a time in my life, probably about a dozen years ago, when I thought I really crave church. And I craved having, I don't know, just something from my past, but also something more important to believe in. And I don't think there was ever a time that I stopped being faithful, but certainly as a practice of prayer, going to church, practicing sacraments, like really, really thinking about it. And so I joined a church downtown, and I've become pretty involved, helping throw fundraisers and having a relationship with my priest, a very close relationship, and then getting married in that church almost 4 years ago.
Nice.
And I think as you face things in life, because life is that constant up and down, and you have good chapters and hard chapters. And as I go through the hard chapters, I think faith gives me a lot of grounding, to realize that there's something bigger than me, and that, the earthly things that may upset you, are really not that important in the grand scheme of things when you look at it through that lens. And so I actually think, it would be hard to grow older and not have faith, because what point would you have? So to me, it's essential, and a big part of my life.
Yeah. Are there things that you do on a daily basis to remind yourself of that faith? Or are there moments that you can talk about where you've needed God, or he maybe showed up for you? I mean,
Yeah, it's not so much for me. It hasn't been like, say a prayer and something amazing happens, the next minute, which is, I think, what we all would like.
Yeah.
But it doesn't really work that way. But I will say that as I look at kind of the path that my life is on, the person that I'm married to today, who is very loving and kind. And I think that earlier in my life, maybe I wouldn't have attracted this sort of person. And so, so actually, I think that sort of the prayer kind of very slowly builds into the life that you want, and the job that I have now. I get a lot of fulfillment from helping kids. I don't have kids of my own, and I'm good with that. Variety of reasons. It was just not meant to be. But I feel so blessed that I get to play a role in shaping futures and really helping the city. And, when I worked in magazines, I loved having the ability to find a story and tell the story and take something that a great hairdresser or a business owner or, something that I wanted to highlight and have the ability to bring it to the attention of hundreds of thousands of people. That was very cool. I felt like I was helping make the city better by shining a light on the things that were important and that I thought should be discovered by everybody.
Yeah.
And so now I'm in a different career path, and oddly, like, it all feels of a type to me, because what I'm doing now is I'm investing in people, individual people. And you help one kid get into college and the trajectory of their family changes. And that helps change communities,
Yeah.
and there's a long-term impact that will long outlive me. And so that's really gratifying to know that I can do something like that. I was going to say too that when you were asking about, like, do I have daily reminders of faith? So Greek people, we always wear a cross.
Okay.
And Catholics wear a crucifix. We always wear a cross without Jesus on it, because to us it's after the resurrection. So it's a different thing, and it's cultural. Like, we are always reminded by the cross that we wear.
Yeah.
And then the other thing I have on my chain, my mom has a patron saint. It's my patron saint too. The island in Greece that my mom is from, there are the relics of a saint at a church that is literally just down the hill, like a 5-minute walk from where she grew up, the house she grew up in. And it's a very famous church in Greece. Saint, the word for saint is Aios. And so this is Saint Gerasimos, Aios Gerasimos. And so anyone who is Kephalonian, that's the island my mom is from, Kefalonia, would know about this saint. He performed a lot of miracles on the island, and notably he died 500 years ago, and he was exhumed, I think, 350 years ago. And his relics are still intact. You can see him. And he's in a silver sarcophagus in a church, in a monastery. And you can see his being, like, he's still intact. And he died 500 years ago. And so it's a very, very holy place in Greece. And my mom happened to grow up a few minutes from this monastery. And so I wear him every day.
That's amazing.
And then I also have a bracelet that the nuns made at the monastery that I wear every day. And so, and these nuns, they make like strong bracelets. I've been wearing this one for a year and a half, it's in great shape. But yeah, I think things like that are a constant reminder of your faith, and that you have, you have the saint with you, and you have God with you.
Yeah.
So, it's the simplest, but physical reminder, and it's very cultural too.
Yeah. And I think that's good, because that's what I would want to share with our listeners and women and men and children out in the audience. Like, what can they take away from you and from this conversation that they can maybe use in their daily practice, in their daily lives, to help them get through tough times?
Yeah. Well, I think a lot about the concept of manifestation, which I think manifestation is like a synonym for prayer. It's if you boil it down, they're the same idea, which is that if you focus on something and you center all your thoughts around an outcome, but if you focus on, prayer is this, you're setting an intention. And often when I'm praying, I pray for what God knows is best for me, not what I want. Because I often know what I want might be skewed, And I think manifestation is kind of the same idea, which is that you focus on some sort of a positive, feeling, or what you're looking for. And all of that focus eventually turns into something real. The same way with prayer. And so I think for a lot of people who have been spiritual, kind of loosely spiritual, I think they would be surprised to learn that they actually love prayer and they love church, because there is a lot of boiled down spirituality in the world. But we're all feeling the same thing.
Yeah. What I sort of think about is, like, for me, it's like prayer is like when you're asking for something when you need something, I pray a lot.
Yeah.
If I'm going through a tough time, I'm like, God, I need help. I need help with this. Cause I'll usually go to God when I'm like in desperate need of something, and
Most of
I'm
us
like
do. Yeah.
praying like
But do
really
you pray
hard.
for something specific?
I'll pray for like, God, I just need help,
Yeah. More generally.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
don't pray for like a car,
Well, that may be where it's like different from manifestation because some people think they can
Yeah.
manifest the car.
Yeah.
Whereas, I don't know, prayer is broader than that, I think.
I mean, manifestation I think is really powerful and I definitely do that, but I guess I separate the two. Like if I really wanted a car, I would write down I want a car or I want, but I don't sort of ask God for a car.
Right.
It's like almost like I'm telling myself, like I'll set goals for myself.
But would you ask God for help opening a new salon for it to be successful? Like when I pray for work, when I was at Chicago Magazine, I prayed a lot for judgment because there were the stories that we told had power. And if we were doing something investigative on someone or if we were writing a negative review on a restaurant, you have to wield that power so carefully because you don't want to hurt someone.
Yeah.
And so I would often pray that I would make the right decisions day to day and I would pray for the team because I was, working the parent organization at the time was the Tribune and, magazines and newspapers, it's no secret. They've been struggling for the last 15 years or so. And so I would also pray for the people that I could make sure that I made the right decisions so that I could ensure that they all kept their jobs.
Yeah.
And so even though I wasn't praying, give me an advertiser who will spend $1 million. I wasn't praying for something specific.
Yeah.
I was praying for the success of the
Sure.
organization.
Yeah.
And then maybe separately manifesting very specific things.
Sure. Yeah.
Like my favorite manifestation story is when I was at Pause. We had to close a facility that was helping a lot of people in Englewood, and not through any. It was just a facility that we were renting that had become pretty rundown. And so I was talking to the veterinarians, and one of them said, we really need a mobile van. We need like a mobile clinic. And I was thinking, I wonder where I could get a mobile clinic. And I emailed someone later that day to set up a meeting about something else. And when she responded, her assistant responded and said, she'd like to talk to you tomorrow. So literally within 48 hours of this conversation about a van, where we could do medical appointments for animals in need, this woman offered us a mobile clinic. I was like, what? Manifesting a van. That's the biggest thing. Maybe not a car,
Yeah.
but a
Yeah.
van.
Similar.
Anyway.
Yeah. I think it definitely works.
Manifestation. I do believe. I do believe that if you focus on something, and have you also had the experience where like you think about someone you haven't seen in 20 years and then you suddenly see them the next day?
Yeah. Oh,
or
yeah.
you hear from them?
Yeah. It's like ESP kind of thing.
You send them a brainwave and they feel it. So I always think I have to be so careful in my thought. But I've had so many situations where like someone has popped into my mind and then literally like a day later, a week later, I either bump into them, they call me, they email me. And I'm always like, wow, did I like summon them?
Yeah.
How did they?
Yeah.
And so as a result, I'm so careful, what I think about. You have to be so careful about your thoughts. Because I don't want to call in someone I don't want to see.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, I have 3 daughters and I think about raising kids and, it goes by so fast and everyone says it goes by so fast and it really does. And, the trouble is that raising kids is so hard. Kids is hard and you're so tired, and you just want them to go to bed.
Right.
Right. So I think, it's like, how do you figure out how to live life to where you're not so tired, you're not so busy, so that you're calm, you're relaxed, you're really enjoying the moment,
Yeah.
right? And I think if you can calm your mind down enough, you can decide to think about the things that you want to think about and not think about the things that you don't want to think about.
Yeah. Set
Because
an intention kind of
yeah,
for what you're
all
Yep.
day, just intention all day long, because you're right. You could be pulling stuff into yourself, thoughts that are negative,
Right.
right? And don't lead you down the right path.
Well, and I feel like I'm gonna misquote this, but there is a Bible verse that when I'm, because I'm Greek, I'm hardwired to worry, and there is a verse, and I'm gonna get it wrong, but it's something along the lines of, it's telling us not to worry, but it's something about how God says, if I would take care of the birds and the trees, why wouldn't I take care of you?
I love that.
We'll have to find it.
Yeah.
Like the actual one is really beautiful, but we're really not supposed to worry about things that haven't happened, because you can really lose the present.
Yeah.
And I think there's so much noise in our brains today, and I'm guilty of it too. You sit down to look something up, and next thing you know, half an hour has gone by. You're like
Yeah,
scrolling. You're like, wait a minute, what was I doing? I don't even remember what I was looking up.
Yeah.
So, so it's hard to quiet the noise in your brain, but I think that's something that prayer does. It's like meditation. That's something where you go to church and you've got to put your phone down for an hour and a half, and that's really good for you. Yeah.
So, you've used the products.
Yes.
I am gorgeous is a positive affirmation.
Wait, I have a question
yes.
though. Why is it not I am gorgeous?
Yeah.
Did you think about it?
I did. Yeah, because many people have said that.
Yeah.
And the reason is because it's not about me,
Okay.
right? It's about the user. It's about the women, the users at home,
Yep.
saying those words to themselves over and over and over again. The I am is very powerful. And thinking to yourself, because I'm in the beauty business, right? Thinking to yourself that I am gorgeous is really what I'm here to do. And when we're using products and we're styling our hair, that's the result you really want to have is that feeling of empowerment and self-love and feeling confident in yourself. And so that's why I did it.
Yeah.
But if I can circle back,
Yes.
because you said you're Greek and we're wired to worry.
Yeah.
Tell me about that, because again, that's not a good, you shouldn't be doing that.
Yeah, I think it's just how my mom raised me, and I think that my parents both come from villages in Greece. They didn't have a lot, and I think when you grow up that way, you are, they had animals, donkeys, chickens. My grandfather made wine, Ribolla wine, which is the Kefalonian wine.
Oh, wow.
But not much, not enough for it to be very lucrative. And similarly on my father's side of the family, there were a lot of kids. He lived through the war. And so I guess being of the generation that was raised by immigrant parents who came to this country with nothing, it's just a hard wiring that you don't have the confidence always that you're going to make it or that you know what to do. My parents had a language barrier, they had an education barrier. So, and it was a different generation. And so I think that, I think I grew up knowing how to worry. But in some ways, it makes you protective. It makes you not reckless. You have to have that middle ground.
Yeah.
But that is something I can get in my own head a lot.
Yeah.
It's something I'm working on.
Good. Your parents must be so proud of you. You've come so far.
Yeah.
Right? In like one generation.
It's amazing, isn't it? That's
Yeah.
America.
Yeah.
I think that really is. I feel very fortunate, and it's one of the reasons I think I really connect to the kids at the Boys and Girls Clubs because many of them are first generation. We have 2 clubs in Little Village, which is a Mexican American community in the southwest part of the city, and And many of the kids are first generation to go to college. And I know what that's like. Like um, I remember being in college and the kids I was surrounded with, their parents were working professionals. You know, my mom was a hairdresser, and they had an understanding of the business world that I really didn't have going in.
Mm-hmm.
And I was conscious of it. And so I think about the kids in our program that, you know, they're going to go to college and they might be the first in their family and they might not know all the social cues
Yeah.
or all the ways in which the world works. We had a really special day with a Chicago Bears player, DJ Moore, in December, and he took 10 of our top performing teens who are this. We do this program called Youth of the Year.
Mm-hmm.
It's really wonderful. Each club nominates a kid to be their Youth of the Year, and then there's a big competition, and one of them gets named Youth of the Year for the Boys and Girls Clubs of Chicago, and it's the highest honor that we have.
Mm-hmm.
And so he took our 10 Youth of the Year kids, including the Junior Youth of the Year, on a shopping spree, which was great. And then we took them to dinner, and I have a friend who owns Italian Village Restaurant. It was right next, it was like around the corner from the store we were at, and she was so lovely. She did a nice family style meal, and
What is the name of it?
Italian Village is the name of the. It's one of the oldest restaurants in Chicago, but it's in the Loop.
Yeah, no,
and it's great. Yeah, and so
the name.
she did a really nice family style meal. But the kids, many of them said some version of, "I've never been to a restaurant like this. I don't know what that is. Like, how do I eat this?" And even something as simple as that, just being out in the world and having an opportunity to try a family style meal at a sit down restaurant. You know, we get to expose them to things that I think are really important, because I know from my own experience, those were some of the things that made it hardest for me to break through into the professional world, because I just didn't understand it. So it gives me a lot of joy to be able to do this for kids. I know exactly where they're coming from, and I feel like this is all, you know, something achieved through prayer and through kind of trying to get myself on that path that is heart focused and heart led.
Yeah. I mean, I would think, I would say that you're probably exactly where you're supposed to be right now.
I feel like I am.
Yeah.
And I would probably say this is the first time in my life I could say that about both my personal life and my professional life.
It's amazing.
I've had some really great jobs that, I've had some really great jobs that people have envied, you know, that people have said like, wow, you have the coolest job.
Yeah.
And I've had those for 25 years. And I've also, you know, been married before, dated other people, but have you ever like manifested something of significance, you think?
My whole life.
Okay. Tell me more.
Yeah. I mean, everything in my life. I've talked about it before, but, you know, my parents were married very young. They were divorced very young. And my mom's second husband was an abusive alcoholic. And we moved around a lot. I went to 10 different grammar schools.
Wow.
And, you know, going to the Boys and Girls Club for me would have been amazing.
Yeah.
You know, I had literally nothing, you know, growing up. I didn't socially, you know, because we moved around all the time, I didn't have a moment to really settle in and have friends and figure out how you interact and talk to people, or like just have a normal childhood.
What part of the city were you in?
We moved around all the time. It was like south side of Chicago.
Yeah.
We lived in Elgin once.
Okay. So not even close. So you can't even bring your friends with you when you leave a school.
Yeah, no.
When you're
no. We would move in the middle of the school year.
Yeah.
You know. So I mean that wasn't fun, but you know, I had five and a half really good years before that nightmare of a time started. So
you were 5.5 years old?
I was 5.5 years old when my grandmother passed away, and we lived with my grandparents for a short amount of time. And then at that time, shortly after that, with my mother, she lived with her parents, divorced from my father, who I saw my father on the weekends. And I have an older sister. So my mother's mother died when my mom was 25. she was in a kind of a deep depression. She just wanted to get out of the house, and she met this guy and dated him, got married, and I was like, it was like, no, I was probably 6.
When she met and married him.
I was, yeah, I was 6 when my grandmother passed away. So she might have met this guy within a year,
Yeah.
you know? So again, like moving around a lot, not a normal childhood, seeing all this violence, getting woken up in the middle of the night, getting kicked out of the house, like
It's a lot of trauma stacking.
Yeah.
It's like, a divorce and then an alcoholic step parent and then potentially some sort of abuse
the
and
violence.
the violence. Yeah, that's a lot of things for a little kid.
Yeah. So, but I will say that the love and the nurturing and the family that I had around me in those first 6 years of my life really carried me and carries me to this day. And even the relationship that I had with my deceased grandmother and then my other grandmother on my dad's side, really strong women, very loving. That really gave me the confidence and really the belief in myself that I can get through anything, like
But 6 is so young to lose that stability.
Yeah.
And then to have all that instability, like that's very traumatic.
It was. I mean, because it lasted for like 6 years. We were moving around for 6 years. The violence was 6 years. Seeing my mother get abused.
And then
it's horrible.
Why did it end?
She finally had the courage, and
To leave.
my sister, because we moved around so much, she ended up going and living with my grandmother on my dad's side for high school because it was just too many schools.
Yeah.
So she went to go live with my grandmother. And then when I was in 7th grade, I got kicked out of school because we were driving in from like a different part of town because it was a school that I had gone to. It was a good school.
Yeah.
But we moved out of the neighborhood.
So more instability.
Yeah. So then, I was always late because we were driving from the south side of Chicago to the suburbs to go to this school. And I was like this quiet kid who was just honest. Like they're like, "Why are you so late, George?" And I'm like, "Well, we live so far away." And they're like, "What are you talking about?"
Oh no.
So they kicked me out of school in 7th grade. And so the easiest thing for me to do was go live with my grandmother,
Wow.
with my sister. And so I think that time, I think I probably finished the 7th grade at my grandmother's house. And that summer, I think, and that time away from her children, my mother gave her the courage or the strength to just say, look, I want my family back and I got to get rid of this guy. And so she finally did end it.
Did things get better for you after that?
They did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, they did in a big way. My mother, she met my stepdad, who helped raise us, and my mother had 2 kids with her second husband. So,
Okay.
Ron helped raise my sister and I, and then my younger sister and brother, and and gave us a really stable home and environment. And people would see us now and say, "Wow, what a great family!" And like they have so much. And I'm like, "Well, you don't
went
know
through a
half the
lot to get
story."
there. Yeah. But
So
it's amazing that you have this perspective on it. And maybe it's because it ended out well
yeah,
that you're able to look back on it and acknowledge that chaotic 6-year period for what it is, and that it was traumatic, but then also see that it was sandwiched by a lot of love
yeah,
and good periods in your life.
yeah. I mean, as horrible as it was, I do remember, and again, going to church as a kid, like 5, 6 years old, remembering that, and I just always felt the presence of God, and this confidence in it.
Yeah.
And I didn't know because I didn't. No one told me that, this too shall pass, like that kind of phrase, and
Yeah.
I didn't know about that, but I felt that.
Wow.
I knew that this wasn't it.
Yeah.
And I know for a lot of people, when you're in a situation that's traumatic, you probably don't see a way out. You don't even know if it's possible to get out of something. You're just lost in it. And I think,
Well, especially if you don't have anybody in your corner, if maybe both parents are gone and you're in foster care. Like, there are a lot of kids who don't have anybody really looking out for them.
Yeah, and I hope that this podcast and this message about faith could give those people something, those kids something,
You know what's interesting now is that there's kind of a documented return to religion that's starting to happen. For decades, people have been moving away from religion. The number of Catholics has dropped precipitously. Yeah. And in the Orthodox faith as well. But now that's starting to turn around
Yeah.
because people are feeling called in. And I think that the world is getting so fast and so dark in so many ways that traditional religion is actually appealing again to a lot of people.
That's great.
And so I think there are a lot of seekers out there. And part of it is maybe those of us who are religious don't talk about it enough to make people feel like welcome to come in. And that I don't know, that it's because there are so many people who think negatively about religion.
Yeah. I mean, there have been some awful things that have happened,
of course,
in the church. And
anywhere you put people, there will be awful things, unfortunately, in everything.
Yeah. I mean, people or men, I think about men, evil men,
but people, men too, but like, I think that, I think that's just the challenge that there's, I read a book once called The Sociopath Next Door, and it said something like 1 in 25 people is a sociopath. Yikes. I know, 4% of the population, which I mean tracks, unfortunately. Yeah. But there are people who behave badly everywhere in life, and that is just a fact of life on Earth. Yeah. But then then you remember that 96% of people are great. Yeah. And so that's what you hang on to. Yeah. But yeah, I do think there are a lot of people searching right now.
Yeah. I think whether it's religion, church, or just prayer and believing in God, and I don't have to say that, look, you should be a Catholic or Orthodox or any religion. It's really just about having a connection to something greater than yourself. So, knowing that there's something there that you can lean on when things are hard, right? Yeah. It's the voice in your head, because if God is within us, then the prayer is you literally talking to God on a regular basis, right? Getting off your phone, getting off a tablet.
And I do it at night when I go to bed. I wouldn't say that I'm always good about reflecting during the day, when I probably should. But you were asking me about, what things trigger me to think about it. Do you have daily reminders or rituals?
Well, this home that I live in, right? Every day I wake up and I'm in it, and it's just like I'm reminded, and how great
you're
things
blessed
are. And I cross myself.
Yeah.
Every time. I come down these stairs and I just look at this scene and I'm just like, it's like a little like
after everything you've been through.
Yeah. To be like, thank you, and I love that I have this connection to God, and gratitude is so important, you know? I mean,
it's funny. I think about like part of the reason that I love what I do now with kids and how I'm able to help them is in some ways it helps me heal from the childhood me and anything that I experienced because I relate so much to these kids. Yeah. And so to have the opportunity to help them, I feel the same way. Like I spend a lot of time reflecting back and how far, how my life has turned out and how thankful I am for everything that I have.
Yeah. I think it's important. Gratitude is really important. And talking about manifestation, circling back to that, one thing that I've learned is that if you talk in the first person, like the I Am Gorgeous brand, you can manifest a food truck or, whatever,
a van for animals.
Yeah. You say, thank you for the van. Thank you for the truck. Thank you for the new salon. Yeah. even before it happens, right? You want to have that gratitude before, and you say it in the first person so that the universe, your mind knows that you already have it, doesn't even know. So it must, the outside world must equal the inside thoughts and prayers and,
Yeah.
you're manifesting, and the words that you use and the things that you say to yourself, I think are so
They really matter.
vital.
It's interesting too, because that I was visiting my parents last week. I grew up here in the Chicago area, but they moved to be near my sister and her kids over 20 years ago on the East Coast, and have helped raise my nieces, which is great for my parents. And now my dad is nearing the end of his life, and he just turned 89 last week, and he's fading, and it's very sad. But I do have to remind myself that I'm 52 years old and I've had a father my whole life.
Yeah.
And, many of the kids that I work with don't have a father figure at all, never have,
Yeah.
and maybe never will, outside of the people, the staff at the clubs, or the people that they, the second family that we provide. And my godson lost his father when he was 8 years old. His dad died of a heart attack. And I think about that, like he's going to go his whole life without really knowing his father.
Yeah.
And so, as sad as I am to see my dad in decline, and I worry that he's suffering, I don't want him to feel any pain, and I don't want him to feel confused. And he really isn't. He's said all the right things to all of us about how he's ready, and he's extremely faithful. In fact, he was the first person at church every Sunday for probably the last 20 years, going before the service. And he took communion every week. And 10 years ago, I remember he said to me, well, I never know which week is going to be my last week. I want to make sure and in our church, you have to prepare to take communion.
Okay.
You have to fast, you have to pray. Like there's a lot of preparation. So a lot of people don't take it every week, the way the Catholics would take it every week, because the preparation's pretty intense. And so he's ready, and he's not scared, which is such a gift. And so when I think about gratitude, I think I'm so lucky, even though it's so sad, but I feel so lucky.
Yeah. What's your dad's name?
Evans. Vageli, but Evans in English. Yeah.
Nice. Well, I wish him the best, and it sounds like he had a great life, and thank you for sharing that story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if I remind myself to be grateful for it, it makes me less sad.
Yeah.
Because it's still sad. So I think that's why gratitude. I mean, it's a cliche too to have a gratitude practice and keep your gratitude journal and all these things. But I think at its core, gratitude makes the sad things less sad, and that's why it's so good for you.
Yeah.
And usually you can find something to be grateful for.
Of course. Yeah. Thank you.
I'm like,
You get a Kleenex.
I'm okay. I'm okay.
Yeah.
No, I am really, really, it's the best it could be, to be 52 years old and to still have both of my parents living is a blessing.
Yeah. I mean, when I think about death and I think about faith in life, it goes by so fast, right? And we're all going to be together in a minute, up there,
100%. And then all these things that we're so worried about that are meaningless, like that's what puts it all in perspective, right?
Yeah.
It is the great equalizer. We will all meet the same end,
I think it is hard because I think most people, not everyone, but most people, they go through difficult times,
It's a part of life.
Waves, right?
Yeah.
I mean, whether loss of a loved one or a traumatizing relationship, or not having the right job or not having enough money to pay for something. Like,
there's so many. Life is hard. And it's hard for everybody.
It is.
Even the people who outwardly appear to have everything. I think if you were to know them deeply, and if they were to be honest with people around them, that you would find out that they have their own sadness.
Yeah. So how do we sort of finish with confidence, right? Because confidence, I think, it's not faith, but it's like, to me, confidence is like the thing that helps us get up every day, right? And like, and do our hair, do our makeup, get dressed, go to work, be committed and be connected to this
Yeah,
community that we're all a part of.
for sure. You know what I would say too? I think you can get down on people for being superficial or vain. But at the end of the day, I think the environment you're in matters. Like, you love your home. I do too.
Mm-hmm.
And when I wake up in the morning, I've created a space. It feels good to me. It has the colors I like. It has the fabrics I like. It has it's got the vibe and the energy. And I've got a lot of big leafy plants and, things that make me happy.
Yeah.
And so that confidence starts, I think, with the environment you're in, especially if you're sensitive to your environment. Not everybody is. You and I obviously are.
Yeah.
And the environment you're in really matters it affects how you feel every day.
Yeah.
And then I would extend that to, I like fashion. I always have.
That's okay.
It's okay, because it does. If I have something that I like to put on and that makes my day brighter, now they have a phrase for it. It's called dopamine dressing.
I've heard of it. Yeah.
The idea is that, like, let's say you have colors that really make you happy, like yellow. If you put on a yellow top that day, it's going to actually brighten your entire outlook for the whole day.
Wow.
I believe that's absolutely true, that you can, by the environment you're in and by the way you put yourself together when you leave the house, the hair, the nice blowout, I feel so good right now. Thank you. But all of those things really affect how you feel. And that's okay, even though they seem very superficial, and they are.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter. Like, it's taking pleasure in simple things. I have 2 little dogs like you, and they make me so happy every day. They I talk to them every day.
I think that helps.
I think it helps too. I think that the other thing I would say as I've gotten older is I find myself, I don't know if it's like, if I'm even fully cognizant of it, but as I'm like walking around and doing stuff, I'm like smiling at people all the time.
Yeah.
And I think that affects my mood too, and my confidence to just feel like the world is a friendly, loving place.
Yeah.
And that people are ultimately good.
Yeah.
And so I think, the friendships that I have a lot of really like close and wonderful like sister friends. And that makes me feel good. Like, they're the people that you can call, that you could just be yourself with.
Yeah.
So I don't know, the older I've gotten, the more I've realized that the simple things we do to make ourselves feel better are actually critically important.
Yeah.
For our moods, so this idea of self-care, it's your whole world and every situation you put yourself in and every person you're with. And if you tap into that, and if you're aware of that, you can find really simple ways to increase your confidence and feel better about things.
Yeah. Thank you.
But I would imagine you believe similarly. I just looking around, I'm like, I think we're like-minded.
I mean, yeah, the environment is so critical. I mean, for me, I've had this longing for home and a consistent home, since I was little. I mean, I worked so hard, and it was easier for me to work towards getting a home. Now that I have it, I'm like, okay, what's next? Because to me, that was the one thing that I was longing for since I was a little boy, and now living in it, having it is just like, it's a dream come true,
100%.
right? And I do that with the salon, right? Like creating the environment for myself and for my team and for our guests, our clients that come in, like it's really important to me to have a beautiful space. And we did recently just move into a new space, and, it doesn't look the way that I wanted to, but
It's pretty great space though.
It's great space.
Yeah.
But I love to work.
Yeah.
It's all I family and work. That's all I am, right? Is just work and family. And so, having challenges, in front of me to make the space look like it's mine is important to me. And I'm going to try and do that this year. And, yeah, it is hard. It's hard for my staff, that we were in a different location that we did design and created. And so now I have to do that here on a bigger scale.
Yeah. It's
And I
pressure.
think, yeah, that's life. And so for me, having so much adversity as a young child, like everything today is like, it's easy.
Well, and isn't it like, I don't think when I was a child, I could have even hoped, like, I didn't know anyone who had the life that I have. And so I couldn't have even known what to hope for,
Yeah.
you know? And so 25 years ago, my life surpassed any expectation I had for myself. Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm gonna have to set new goals. This is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And so I think that I think part of the key though is don't ever forget that feeling of being grateful for your house, and always being able to remember what it felt like, because it also is what makes you empathetic to what everybody else is going through.
Totally.
And so, because you can relate, you have to come. We have an event in 10 days, 12 days. It's on Thursday, March 5th.
I'll be there.
Come as my guest.
I'll be there.
And bring your wife. It's called Youth of the Year. And it's kids, 5 teens, our best teens at Navy Pier in the ballroom. And they're going to be talking about everything they've been through. And one of the girls who goes to our McCartan Club in Bridgeport, if I remember correctly, she changed school 6 times. Like every 2 years, she changed school. So just as she became settled,
Yeah.
her mom moved and she had to go to a new school and make new friends. And her consistent thing was the club, and is the club.
So great.
Yes, but all the kids have great stories, and they come from different neighborhoods around Chicago. And, they all have big dreams, and they don't know what life holds.
Yeah.
And what's nice about this event is it's supported by Chicago's business community,
Okay.
and every kid wins college scholarships and laptops, and this is a launch pad to their future. And many of them wind up getting internships at some of the companies that are in the room, and really great futures. And so, yeah, it is amazing. And so it's exciting for me. This will be my first one.
Okay.
But I've heard so much about it, and I know so many of the kids now who have gone through this process and won the award, and now they're in college and they come back and visit us, which is so nice. But I think it'll really speak to you because you will relate to the kids too.
Yeah. I'll be there. Promise.
We didn't talk about your hair products.
We didn't.
Well, I tried the texture spray on a curly day, and I actually think it may be my new favorite curly hair product. Is it meant for curly hair?
Well, it's meant to have hold, and it adds texture.
Did you use it on me today?
I did not.
Okay.
I used the hair oil and the styling cream.
Right. Yeah. And the hair oil is great too. What I love about your products is I think they do have really good hold. They're great formulations.
Yeah.
And also they have really pretty but mild scents. They're not like overpowering and competing with my perfume or, they're just lovely. But really high quality. Like they work well.
Yeah. I mean, I've been in the salon industry for 34 years. And when I came out with this brand, I mean, it was really about supporting women, but coming up with a collection of products that I felt every woman needed to make themselves look and feel gorgeous. And so the brand is really just that. And I'm happy to say that we're going to be coming out with shampoos and conditioners and a spray leave-in treatment this summer. So
Oh, wow.
super excited about it and very proud of it. And also proud that we give 10% of the net profits to organizations that support victims of domestic violence, which
That's great.
as you've heard, is
It's super important to you. I love it.
know.
Yeah, it's like and also, again, like part of being faithful is the idea of giving back, and I do believe God gives back to people who do things for other people, and when you are doing an act of charity, by definition, like you're not supposed to like benefit from it. It doesn't go to someone you know. You're going to help somebody who you don't know, and that is the purest form of charity, and benevolence, and kindness, and it is so good for you to do that. Like it actually, it's proven that when you do something philanthropic, it actually makes you feel really, really good about yourself. Like it is the ultimate gift to yourself. And also, I think when you have that as your foundation, your product is more successful.
Yeah.
You have the right foundation.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if I could share quickly, you know, I was putting together a business plan and I wanted to open a salon for about 4 years. And
How long ago was this?
this is like, I mean, I opened the salon in 2008.
Okay, so 20 years ago,
Yeah.
right?
So 2004, started talking about it and working on a business plan, looking at space, trying to make something happen. Nothing happened until I read this book, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill.
Famous book.
Famous book.
Never read it.
You should.
I should. Yeah.
And basically ask the question, what do you want? And in my mind, I was thinking about wealth and success. And I was like, okay, I'm like, never thought about money, never cared. I just wanted a home. But I was like, okay, success and wealth. I'm like, $25 million. I want $25 million. And turned the page and the question was, what are you willing to do for it? And what that question made me think of was helping victims of domestic violence. I knew in an instant, right? And it was also a question that I had gone through in my life since I was a kid, why we were going through what we were going through, why my mother was going through what she was going through, why my sister and I were going through that. Even my younger brother and sister at times witnessing and hearing and seeing that stuff. Why did we go through that? And so as I turned the page, read the book, and it said, well, what are you willing to do for it? It was like that burning question was answered. Why did I go through that?
Right.
And it was so that it gave me my life's mission, right? To help women, to help people, to give them something, to support them. And so...
Well, and you said earlier that you were surrounded by strong and loving women.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like no surprise that you chose a career path that would have you in this, in that same kind of female-centric force.
Yeah. And I'm surrounded by women at home. I have 3 daughters.
Right.
So,
It's meant to be.
yeah. And my wife is strong and she's intelligent and successful. And it's how I pick them. I want to be surrounded by strong, powerful women. Right.
I love them too.
Yeah, good. Loop back. I had a salon within 4 months after I realized what my calling was.
Wow.
Manifestation, things just happen. Yeah.
Prayer, all of it.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I think when you do, it's almost like you're kind of orienting yourself in a certain direction, and when you do reach that knowledge, you just start to put yourself on the right path.
Yeah. And I think the universe is waiting. It's just waiting for people just to sort of connect with their path, with their calling.
Yeah.
And I think if you're positive, you write things out.
Yep.
As if you want them to happen. I am. You lean on God and you could just stay alive until you make something happen. And it will fall into your lap. I mean, you just have to stay consistent, stay dedicated, stay motivated, and be grateful as you go. And I mean, life is hard, but it will get better.
And help other people along the way. I think I think a big key of it too is just always like remembering where you came from, helping the next generation, being there for people, being the sort of person people can call and ask for help and ask for a favor. I sometimes hear from people I worked with 15 years ago and they need a job recommendation and, or they just want to talk about it. They want to talk about, what they're trying to do. And do I have any ideas of who I can connect them to? And I just always think that like in my life, people have been there for me. Like you just have to be there for people.
Yeah.
So it's easy to help people because we all have to help each other.
I agree.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I do want to thank Link Creative for being here today and editing and filming us. So yeah, thank you guys.
Thank you so much.
Do you think there's anything that we wouldn't, like if you were to give advice to like any women, I mean, any last thoughts or like any last messages before we wrap things up?
Yeah. I think what I would say is I have seen over and over again how like seeds you plant one day. They might come to fruition in 4 months. It might be 25 years later.
Yeah.
And my career in my 20s, I was lucky. I got exposed to a lot of people, writing this column for the Sun-Times, and I went to all these events and I met everybody. And so many of the people that I met them back then, 10, 20 years later, they kind of circle back and they might say to me like, oh, you took a picture of me at this party and I had it on my refrigerator for 10 years, and I always think about like whatever seeds you plant, they are going to someday come into fruition of some sort.
Yeah.
And I'm constantly surprised by the people who recirculate in my own life and who I haven't seen in a long time and suddenly they're there again. Or, when I was interviewing for the Boys and Girls Club, the president of the women's board is someone I knew in my 20s. And it's just so funny how the world works that way. Yeah. So I think the advice I would give to anybody is just that if you're paying attention, like these patterns will repeat and people will repeat and you'll encounter the same people over and over again. And that's why it's so important to just treat everybody with love and respect, because at some point you will see them again. And if you've planted all those seeds, eventually they will turn into something really beautiful. And sometimes it doesn't take that long. And then sometimes you're just surprised by how long has passed and, someone is there for you in a really significant way who you knew way back when. So I think make friends everywhere you go. And just know that you will see these people again,
Yeah, so be kind.
Yes, because yes, all of them.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Susanna.
Thank you.
Thank you. This is great.